Today on Commander Replay, we try out Tajic, Legion's Edge, while playing Russian Roulette with Neheb the Eternal. Will Tajic catch the bullet, or will it be Kruphix or Queen Marchesa? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, I want to take a second to give a shout out to some of my awesome Patreons. Neil Smothers just recently joined the most awesome legendary angel tier. Neil has been a subscriber since March 1st of last year, which I looked, means that he joined around 82 subscribers, and means that he stuck with me through the roughly 150 videos that I've released since then. Even when the deck or the game doesn't go particularly well, Neil always leaves a positive comment on the video, which is something that I really appreciate. Neil, glad to have you aboard. If anyone else wants to support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back, everyone, playing some Tajic, Legion's Edge. Take a look at our opening hand. It's a bit risky. We've got Tithe, Bloodstain, but we're gonna keep. We have some cool pieces in our hand. So here's why I'm keeping this hand. One, we have the Tithe to get us a couple extra lands, and we're not playing first. Apparently we're playing last, actually, which is a pretty bad thing. But we'll be able to get 3 lands that way. If we draw a land over the next couple turns, that gets us 4 lands. And then at that point, we have the Stoneforge Mystic, and that's going to get one of the really important pieces in this deck, which is Sword of the Animist. Right now, I'm running a very low 35 mana in this deck, simply because I couldn't figure out what cards to cut. So, you know, I subtracted from the mana, which is always the right thing to do, right? No, it's probably not. We're probably going to get punished for it. But anyway, that being the case, Sword of the Animist is going to be really important so that we can hit some of our better late game stuff like Darien and Aurelia. There's an Iroas. So play the Bloodstained Mire, pass a turn. So Neheb's got a mana crypt coming down. Seems pretty good. Hope someone's got removal. Hope Queen Marchesa's playing removal. Magebane armor, you say? Weird. Anyway, we're gonna, in the meantime, we will crack our fetch. We will get a plateau. And at the end step right here, we're going to cast this Tithe. Get Sacred Foundry and a Plains. So, for those that don't know, Tajic, Legion's Edge is 1 red-white for a 3/2 with haste. It has Mentor. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power. And then, here's the part that I've really built around for this deck. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to other creatures you control. So, we have a lot of burn spells in our deck. Things like this Pyrohemia, Earthquake, and so on and so forth. We're going to use those to wipe the board, to wipe our opponent's board. With Tajic in play, Tajic will protect our creatures, other than himself, from those burn spells, and then we should have a pretty open board to attack into. That's what this deck is trying to do. We'll see how well that works out. It's something that I've been thinking about for a little while, but man, I had some tough choices to make trying to put this deck together. We catch a Soul Ring off the top, which is really, really good news. That means we won't have to discard the hand size. So play this Plains right here. Play the Soul Ring, play the Stoneforge Mystic, use the Stoneforge Mystic, get the Sword of the Animist, and we'll pass with the 1 floating. So that Soul Ring off the top was beautiful because we were going to have to discard the hand size if we drew just about anything else. So that worked out really well. But yeah, I am very nervous about the fact that this deck runs 35 lands. That is just a very low amount. I don't usually run anything that low. Neheb the Eternal coming down. Man, that seems really fast for that Neheb to be coming down. It's not great. Next turn we'll be on 5 mana, which is unfortunately not enough for Darien. Because Darien should be pretty good. If Neheb doesn't just outright kill us, if we survive at all, then we will probably have enough tokens to kill Neheb. Especially with things like this Anthem effect right here. There's an Impact Tremors for the Queen Marchesa token build. Oh, our opponents, by the way. So we're facing off against Neheb the Eternal, commander we played on the channel. There's going to be a lot of burn damage, and they'll probably go for either a big X spell or some really big creatures like Eldrazi or dragons, something like that. There are a lot of things that you can do when you have lots and lots of mana, so whichever one of those modes they chose as their finisher, but Neheb can generate some seriously scary amounts of mana. Kruphix, God of Horizons, similar story, also generates scary amounts of mana. Does it in a slightly different way, but I have no love for Kruphix decks. They tend to win a little bit more than they should. And then finally a Queen Marchesa. It looks like this particular Queen Marchesa is on a token build, so there's that. Right here, we'll play the tap land this turn, so cast the Sword of the Animist. Hopefully Kruphix doesn't counter anything. So equip the Sword of the Animist, play the Path of Ancestry, swing into the Queen Marchesa simply because they are open and have no open mana. Kruphix sitting on 3 open mana makes me nervous. Need to get at least a couple more attacks out of this Stoneforge Mystic. Looks like we are in need, I think red mana. We'll get a red. We do have Pyrohemia in hand, so having a bit of red mana around will be a very good thing. In for 2 into the Queen Marchesa. They go down to 38. And we're going to let Neheb untap with their commander. It's always a really scary thing to do. Confused about this Magebane armor, though. I talked about it when I did the Neheb video, but I really love the art on Neheb. Giant flaming spear. Yes, please. I wish more red cards had giant flaming spears. It looks so cool. One of the interesting things about Neheb, too, is that beyond the fact that its ability is really, really good, it's actually a pretty good attacker. Like, a 5-mana 4/6 with that Afflict ability is pretty good. Like, it kind of gets lost in the fact that, like, that's not really what it's there for, but the 6 toughness especially means that it doesn't die to just random little things on the board, so very interesting card. Korvath's Fury. Oh, there's 23 red mana. Finish reading this thing. So for each player chooses a friend or foe. Each friend discards all the cards from their hand, then draws that many +1. Korvath's Fury deals damage to each foe equal to the number of cards in their hand. So it looks like they just went foe on all of us. That makes sense. And that's where the huge amount of mana came from Neheb. So things are probably going to get pretty crazy right here. Hopefully Kruphix is sitting on a counterspell for whatever the big thing that's about to come down right here is. Crater's Claws, X23. Puts us down to 8. Well, that's not great. Now we're playing the Where's the Life Gain game. So opponent focusing us down pretty hard. Thran Dynamo for the Kruphix. Marchesa's Decree. Become the monarch when a creature attacks you or planeswalker you control. If that creature's controller loses 1 life. That's funny in that we're at 8 life and we probably can't. There aren't a lot of ways to gain life in this deck, if there are any. I caught War and Peace right before I started the game to get down to 100 cards, so unfortunately not really any spot removal in this deck. A Swords of Plowshares would be pretty helpful against this Neheb. There's a Gisela. Ooh, Gisela, you say? 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll have to play the Sacred Foundry untapped. Man, I don't love doing that. Gisela will make it significant. So Gisela doubles the damage against our opponents and reduces it against us? I mean, in theory, if we had a little bit more life, that's exactly the plan. But, I mean, I think it's got to be Gisela right here. So play the land untapped. So send this thing into the Neheb. Bad likelihood of us surviving next turn. We have 4 red sources. That seems pretty good. We'll get a Plains right here. Actually, we're going to go for a red source right here because of the Pyrohemia. I mean, if we untap... So Pyrohemia with Gisela is going to be super sweet because it won't actually do any damage to us or our stuff, and it'll do double damage to our opponent's stuff. Opponent's going to put the Magebane armor on the Neheb. Okay. So 6/10. Do we untap? Pyrohemia won't kill the Neheb anymore. It's a little bit annoying. Ooh, okay, so Neheb going to attack the Kruphix. Still going to give him 12 mana. So there's 12 mana. Do they have enough to kill us? Going to shoot a Demon Fire at the Kruphix. Ha! Takes Kruphix right out of the game. How about that? Well, with Aurelia and Gisela, pretty good chance we can kill the Neheb opponent. There's an Adriana, Captain of the Guard, coming down for the Queen Marchesa. Impact Tremor is going to trigger. Oh, thank God for Gisela. Gisela is going to prevent the Impact Tremors trigger. The Marchesa's Decree is life loss and not damage, so Gisela's not going to help us there. We do draw a Plains, play the Plains, start with Aurelia, then get Tajic. We get to scry. Do we need a land? It's a fetch land. Fetch lands are not great. So, actually, it's not going to matter when we attack with the Stoneforge Mystic. So, put it to the bottom anyway. Send everything into the Neheb. Sword of the Animus is going to trigger. Get a Plains. Ha! Neheb goes down to 2. Now we need to be a little bit careful about how we go about the Queen Marchesa. Gisela's good for 10 damage. Aurelia's good for 6. Send the Stoneforge Mystic into the Neheb. Which things do we send? So definitely send Gisela into the other one. Do we send everything else? Gisela's got 10 damage. Puts him down to 18. Aurelia's good for 6. We are at 6. Yeah, just send everything. Whew, it's going to be 3 life lost. So we're going to Mentor. Appears to be no legal targets. Get a Plains. Oh, hey, that's a bunch of stuff that just happened. So while I was chit-chatting with opponents, Neheb goes down, they're at -4. Oh my god, we're at 2 life. And Gisela is dead. Good chance that Impact Tremors is going to kill us. Huh. Yeah, that was a well-played Phyrexian Rebirth from the Queen Marchesa. They cast their commander, that's 1 damage, and then we can't really attack? Oh, none of this is great. I mean, I guess play the land, play this Darien. Nope, should have played the that one first. Play the War Chief. Don't think too much of this is going to matter. Put the sword on the Darien. We draw... why do we draw? Monarch token? Oh, probably Monarch token. Yep, and there's Impact Tremors for 2. That was a fast game. Opponent says, wild game. Yes, it was. Not at all what I was expecting out of this deck. We do get to use Darien's ability. And then we go down to Impact Tremors. Ugh.